Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Rhonda. I came in just for this event. I came from New York, so it is so lovely to see everybody this morning. I created a series of questions that I hope will hopefully enlighten everybody today about what's happening in our marketplace. So what I'd like to do, as much as our panelists here, we recognize them by name, I think it might be a little helpful, if it's okay with you guys, to just go down. We'll start with you, Moira. We know where you're from. Why don't you give us just a quick 30-second snapshot about your expertise and what you do?
Thanks so much, and it's a pleasure to be here and happy to be included in the conversation today. So on data and on big data and on wealth trends, Altrata is the leader in wealth analytics in the world. So we talk to yachting, aviation, retail, couture, real estate on what's happening with wealth trends, where people are moving and how organizations can capture those opportunities.
I'm Andrea, Sinacola. I am the founding partner of SinacoLaw. It's a boutique firm based here in Miami. And we serve the superyacht industry both in transactional and litigation, but we also manage cases and transactions worldwide.
Good morning, Jay Roberts, CEO of Prosper Group. It is amazing to be here in Miami. The weather is incredible. Sakip did an amazing job putting this event together, so I'm very honored to be here and speak to all of you this morning. Prosper Group is a real estate development firm. We are currently developing 3 high-rise towers here in Miami and 1 in Tampa. We specialize in waterfront developments, so it ties in with the super yacht industry, and we also focus on the ultra luxury condo segment. So great to be here.
Good morning. So I am very happy to be here. So thank you so much for the organizer to have such a beautiful conference. Thank you, Shakib. Thank you, Oran and dear colleagues, to just host us here. There's wonderful people. And let me present my company. It's Retro Venture Capital. Basically, we are buying distressed assets from Florida, and we just relocate them to Mediterranean and refit them if necessary, and we are selling them, and we share or profit with our investors and partners. So thank you again.
All right, thank you guys so much. So just show of hands, how many of us here are from the Florida region? Just trying to get an idea. Amazing, because you know what, this is really about you guys. So hopefully everybody not only makes connections today, but they find the people that they are seeking in today's room. So without further ado, I'm going to get started with some of the questions that I prepared for our panel. So, opening question. This one I'm going to send over to you, Jay, okay? So, are we looking at a short-term relocation wave into Southern Florida, or are we seeing a much deeper transfer of wealth and decision-making power?
This is just the beginning of a super cycle here of growth in Miami and really South Florida. So I'll give you some stats. 10 years ago, Florida's population was 20 million people, and over the last 10 years, we've grown 3 million people. So 3 million people have moved to this state, and a lot of them have come to South Florida, come to Miami, come to West Palm Beach. California, 10 years ago, had 39 million people. 10 years later, California has 39 million people. New York City, 10 years ago, had 8.5 million people. 10 years later, today, New York City has 8.5 million people. So population growth is very important in looking at demographic trends, not only for the yachting industry, for the real estate industry, for businesses all around, but more importantly, there's a wealth migration that is coming to Florida that is unlike anything that we've seen in the last 30 years, okay? So over that same period, just to give you some more stats and some more data, I like numbers, hopefully you guys like numbers too. In 2023, California lost $12 billion in net income. So not only are people moving, but the wealthy people are leaving California. New York City lost $10 billion in net income, okay? And Florida gained $21 billion in net income. So the wealthiest people in America are moving to Miami. So as the super yacht industry, and those of you selling, developing, brokering, chartering these yachts is really important. Miami has become the epicenter of global wealth migration.
Amazing. Okay, next question I'm going to put to Moira. Maybe you can add, from the data that you've seen globally, which UHNW movements into Florida represent real asset transfer and long-term commitment rather than just another media narrative?
There's definitely been a lot of media focus on, particularly New York and the supposed wealthy fleeing New York. And yes, there's a huge, what Jay said, opportunity and expansion going on, but it's not really a result of political instability up there. It's really the facts of what's happening. Florida is #1 in the country for net income migration. Miami is #1 in the world for secondary home ownership, anywhere in the globe. So there's definitely that footprint here already. The wealthy as a group, and we classify that as $30 million US and greater. It's about 550,000 right now. And the next 4 years, it's growing to over 700,000. And it's a combination of inheritance transfer and tech investments, and obviously AI tech investments and stock returns. The pattern of coming to Miami and to Florida is going to accelerate. It's absolutely happening. We see it daily, and the opportunity is exciting because it's younger people. So we also see wealth is skewing younger. Right now, that cohort over $30 million is about 67-year old. That cohort's going to drop to 20% of the population in about 8 to 10 years. So the whole ecosystem, the demographics, the wealth is changing, and their behavior pattern is changing. Women are doubling in that cohort from I think it's 13%, it's probably up closer to 30%. And historically, women focused on charities and philanthropic endeavors, but they're starting to change, and this is really cool for super yacht, the industry, because they're going to want a voice more so than ever. Lamborghini saw their ownership of female hypercars grow by 50% in the last 5 years. So the women are actually getting involved in more of those luxury casca purchases where they didn't in the past. So for Miami, there's so much opportunity capturing it. A second home doesn't equate to a super yacht purchase right away, but figuring out that narrative and that connection is there for you to optimize.
Amazing. Jay, I'm going to actually bring this one back over to you again. Sorry, I know we just had you, but from the real estate side, how has the profile of the buyer changed over the last 5 years? Are you seeing more global families coming in, viewing it Miami as a primary rather than just a seasonal destination? Just to sort of piggyback off of what Moira was saying.
COVID really reshaped the buyer pool here in Miami. And historically, it was driven, as we know, by Latin American buyers and investors. If there was unrest in these different countries, in Peru, in Colombia, and Brazil, the capital would leave and they looked to Miami to invest as a safe haven. During COVID, it became more important in America how your state is run. And Florida, Texas, they did a very good job of staying open while other states were closed. And people saw that you could be free here. It's pro-business, low-tax environment, and a great lifestyle. So Americans really saw the benefit and advantages of living in Florida, and they started evening out the buyer pool. We're also seeing a lot of Europeans. On a weekly basis, I'm hearing more talking to European investors and developers. We have partners in our developments that are investing a lot of capital here, and we're developing these ultra-luxury towers. So we're seeing the buyer pool more diversified away from just Latin America. Of course, we appreciate those buyers and those investors, and they're going to continue to come, but it's really become Americans, Europeans, and Latin Americans.
Amazing. Andrea, this one's for you. We often think of brokers leading the yacht acquisition conversations. However, family offices, private banks wealth advisors, and legal teams are now shaping these decisions much earlier in the process. Why do you think?
Well, I don't think that the broker-led model is going anywhere anytime soon, but there is becoming this supplemental market, as you're mentioning, where ultra-high net worth individuals are working with their lenders, they're working with wealth managers, and they're working with their family offices to make these strategic asset purchases. You all are familiar with the Big Beautiful Bill, and I think that that really spearheaded the influx of family offices getting involved in these purchases. In my opinion, it's very beneficial because as wealth increases, and as Moira and Jay said, there's been a tremendous amount of shift in inheritance down to the next generation, and younger people are coming into money very quickly. It's important that family offices, legal teams, and tax advisors can structure these large purchases in a way that makes sense and they can get the most benefit from their purchase rather than just having it be a broker-led deal. So what we do is we create the structure and the parameters for which the purchase can occur, and the broker advises and assists the buyer within the parameters that work with their business tax structure and their family offices. I think all parties are extremely beneficial. So the increase in working with lenders, family offices, and legal teams is beneficial for all parties, including brokers.
Amazing. I just also have another quick question. So when we are looking at bringing you in as somebody in that representing that legal space for the client, is the client reaching out to you direct, or are you being contacted by somebody else on their power team?
It really depends on the client. If the client is very hands-on, if they've owned yachts before, some of them reach out to me directly. Some I already have a pre-existing relationship, but with new buyers specifically, I do get contacted by their family office, and so I'm able to guide the family office in setting up the legal structure for the purchase of the super yacht. So it's a bit of a mix. It depends on the person.
Understood. Ernum, this one is for you. From an asset and maritime perspective, are yachts increasingly being treated as part of a wider portfolio conversation alongside aviation, real estate, hospitality, and private equity, and why?
So yes, on that, I can see that before the yacht, we were seeing lifestyle and hobby purchase, but now we can consider it like commercial assets. Let me say why. Because first of all, they can just generate income if you just do charter operation and if you just operate good. So a well-positioned yacht can generate every year charter revenue. In many cases, that can be around 5 or 15% to yacht value annually. So let's say it's $10 million of yacht, as example, may generate worth like $500K to $5 million, $1.5 million a year through a charter activity. So the second reason, it could be like tax efficiency in USA. If you just build the structure is done correctly made, then the yacht can be used as business activity, and you can just use depreciation and operational deduction from your income. That can be a good reason also to have yacht assets. So, and it will be part of the wider financial plan and not just kind of personal purchase. So the third reason that I love also this is because the yachts are movable assets. So when you buy real estate, if the market became like weaker, so maybe you have to wait. But if in the case that you just move your yacht, so you can take it into a stronger market, maybe you can have the chance to sell in the right way. So the other things that my company also is mostly taking in this reason is secondary market. That in the yacht you can have like secondary markets for the larger yacht and super yacht. it's a real opportunity for this concierge resales station and household portfolio. So if you buy, for example, this kind of assets, you liquidate or refit, and you can then just kind of profit. So this is what retail also does. And yes, in conclusion, I can say that this is a very nice opportunity as commercial assets.
Amazing. I'm going to throw this one back over to you, Trey. Okay. How does multi-residency living change ownership behavior? If someone now lives between Miami, New York, London, Aspen, and even the Mediterranean, does that change the timing of their purchase, the scale of the yacht, or even the brand loyalty?
Great question. I'm not the yacht broker or seller, so I'm not as familiar with their yacht purchases, but what I will say is Miami is attracting the wealthiest. We've all seen it in the news, we've seen it in social media. Mark Zuckerberg just bought a home here in Indian Creek. Larry Page, Sergey Brin, the co-founders of Google, Howard Schultz, co-founder of Starbucks. Wealthier and wealthier people are moving here, and then it's great for the real estate industry, and then it's great for the super yacht industry. And these people see Miami as a safe haven. We have great tax benefits, as the gentleman to my left that just mentioned. We have a big, beautiful bill. So if you're purchasing, these are global buyers, global investors, global travelers, and so in terms of when they're buying, the super yacht, Miami is a destination that people are really calling home, and so I see more yacht purchases coming here in the future.
Perfect. And this is actually my final question. I'm going to throw this out to Andrea. If we look ahead 5 years, does Miami become the permanent decision-making center for luxury assets and yacht ownership in America? What is the one thing Miami still needs in order to secure that positioning long-term? I feel like you might have some insight there.
Yes, it's quite a dense question. So I will start with, I'll touch on the yacht space first and then branch out into the luxury asset. But I think Miami is very strategically positioned because the amount of wealth that is moving into Miami, whether it is permanent or temporary, whether families are purchasing vacation homes or purchasing permanent residency here. The beautiful thing about yachts is they move all over the world, and those decisions for yachting are made here in Miami, whether the yacht is here physically, whether the family is here physically or not. Miami has established itself, and truly broader, South Florida has established itself as a decision-making capital in the yacht world, and as families continue to relocate, wealth continues to flood Miami. 5 years, the expansion is really difficult to measure. I can assure that it is going to accelerate the more that these individuals move here. For the yachting space in Miami, I think that we might be limited as far as the infrastructure to handle a large influx of super yachts, and I think that is something that the city and all of us in this industry have our eyes on. Dockage, shipyards, refit centers, being able to house crew. There's a lot of vendor and third-party services that come with the ownership of these super yachts, and to develop that infrastructure all throughout, not only just Miami, but all of South Florida to handle the influx of wealth. Miami very well could become part of the decision-making, the permanent decision-making capital of yachting.
Perfect. Well, those were my questions for this morning's panel. Just final thoughts. Will all four of you be here for our next break?
Yes.
Perfect. So if anybody has any questions for anybody on today's panel, feel free to reach out. And I know that we have a question over here. Do you want a mic?
Yeah. I don't really need a microphone, but and everybody here is probably used to hearing me ask questions because that's my favorite thing. I've been in the yachting industry for over 30 years. And one of the things that's the most amazing about it is the fact that the business end of yachting, the support of globally of super yachts is far greater in its aggregate than the value of the yachts themselves. So what my question is actually for either Moira or Rhonda. And given that yachts are a diminishing asset, when you buy a yacht, it immediately not only costs you about 20% of the value of the vessel on an annual basis, but the fact that they really do not have an appreciable long-term value. How do you advise your clients in terms of the wealth that is necessary to be able to purchase a yacht, and how do they justify it themselves? Is it the fabulous lifestyle that we're all so fortunate to enjoy as part of it? Because as I said, it's not really a financial asset. What kind of questions do your clients ask you in terms of dedicating, significant sums of money for the operation and ownership of a yacht, given that it's something that's going to probably diminish just as quickly as the costs rise?
So I will answer to the best of my ability, because super yachts is only a small portion of what I do professionally, being in the wealth space. But normally, if I am speaking with a client, we're doing a deep dive and I'm working with their team. Once we've established what kind of surplus that they have to work with and what that looks like, we then determine whether or not they're going to use it personally, or if they are going to consider utilizing it for even private chartering. Once we can then identify what the purpose of owning the yacht is, we can back into whether or not it's something that we can put on their balance sheet. Moira?
Yeah, what we do doesn't quite correlate to the question, but I've 6,700 super yachts in the world, 3,500 billionaires, 700,000 people worth over 30 million. It is a lifestyle passion to spend there. It's not, that's the leading thought that we had here. I work with a lot of yacht companies. I don't think anyone's looking at it as an investment, hoping that those charters are going to pay off everything.
It never will.
We call it an offset. And the other thing though that does come up in conversation, which I think is not always spoken about, is how much the resource and the budget looks like to just maintain the yacht itself. If you're not very well versed in the yachting industry, it can become very detrimental very quickly. So when I do have the opportunity to work with a client in the super yacht industry, just yachting in general, I usually do bring in my own power team that will help to advise accordingly, because they're much more skilled at answering those questions than I am. Jane, how about for you?
Well, real estate is an appreciable asset, contrary to the super yacht industry. In Miami, some more stats, I'm full of them. The condo prices have risen 14 straight years from 2011 to 2025. So if you are looking for, if you're an investor here, looking for somewhere to invest your money, real estate prices, it's not a secret, in Florida, are going up. And at the same time, single family home prices over the last decade have increased 167%.
So buy a yacht and a condo and you're going to break even?
It's good advice.
We can talk about that in break. Does anybody else here have any, very short?
Pleasure. This question is for Erden. You mentioned that your fund, what it does is distress assets. When you buy the yachts,
Yes.
what is the discount that you apply to the assets you buy, and what is the main country where the government actually helps you manage this money?
Let me say, so we about the distress yachts, there's many unsold portfolio from the bank, institution, corporation, and from the private sellers. So then there is like kind of unsold was maybe waiting like since 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. This kind of yachts is kind of impossible to sell. But if you just because American, they prefer to buy the first from the first and the zero model. So why? Because the industry is mostly supporting the finance, like with the 10%, 15%, they can get easily the finance. which is not possible in Mediterranean, mostly in the countries, and mostly we are interested in our market. So even they are not able to just pay for the finance that bank takes back. So the things that be it some operation, who will just take these yachts, who will go build the potential. Of course, the valuation has to be strong, profitable. Then after to refit them if necessary, and mostly if necessary, because it's necessary, because they are waiting since 1 year, 2 years, and this kind of assets that we are interested. And then we relocate them by big vessels to Mediterranean, and which is very expensive. So let's say that 100 feet like yacht to carry to Mediterranean is more than $150,000. So after you need to do all cash. Because of why we just if we, as venture capital, we can just invest for this kind of physical assets, and we can sell them in the right market. We can make the profit.
Just a follow-up question. You also gave an example of a boat that would be worth $10 million, and it would generate $500,000, right?
Yeah,
That
it's for a charter operation, really.
That is net income. That is just the revenues.
So this is the second like combination, that not only that it's selling, that if you operate this kind of like the yachts in the Mediterranean, if with the right teams, with the right operation, that you can make money, like kind of you can with charter operation at least 10 or 15% approximately you can eat.
Correct. And what is the expected rate of return that you have in the fund?
For us, or in our VC, we guarantee to our partners 15% as well per annually, but we target 40% per year. And last or 3 transactions that our average was 35%.
Thank you very much.